Hi guys, this is about the remaining part of the module 4. I had already started with the visible surface detection and we spoke about the backface detection. In this, there are two things to be mentioned. So, two approaches are actually used here, object space and image space. You can see the difference here about what do they mean. So in this case, in the first case, these methods compare objects and parts of the objects to each other within the scene definition. So it's nothing but each object is compared with the parts of the object and those defined within the scene description. Why do we do that? To determine which surfaces as a whole we should label as visible. So every part of the object is compared with each other to decide which is supposed to be presented. That is a object mode. Next you have is image space algorithm. Visibility is decided point by point at each pixel position on the projection plane. So now we are going to consider the projection plane and we are going to compare every point. Now we are not going to see which are the objects available and all. We are just going to see which are the definitions made in relation to this particular plane, and depending upon that we are going to calculate which point may be visible to the projection plane. So now that is the image space algorithm. So next you have is general thing, that is line display algorithms. They use object space methods. So basically it's going to compare the parts of the objects with each other and decide. So in this case, regarding this also I mentioned in the class on Zoom session about deciding which is the visible surface to the camera. This white space is visible, that dark shaded one is not visible. So here the surface normal n is drawn perpendicular to the that is visible surface. So two examples considered depending upon the position where we are going to consider the plane, that is view plane. In this case they have considered right angled, that is right hand Cartesian form, which is your general monitor system which considers three-dimensional representation, and in the place of camera we are going to represent that axis to show how the view axis works. Then you have depth buffer method. Depending in this particular method, I already told you we'll be using the depth values for the defined positions of the objects, whichever may be the object. So we can either have one or two or many more objects. So it's going to compare surface depth values throughout a scene or each pixel position on the projection plane. So in this case we have important algorithm which is Z buffer method. Z buffer method is going to be in two-step procedure. One, it is going to initialize the values for the depth buffer and the frame buffer. Then it is going to reassign the values for these particular bits. So this is a sample I have given you in the session, Zoom session, where you have a view plane and you have three surfaces. These three surfaces have to be assigned with their depth values in order to be projected on the view plane. So as you can see, if the projection is line is drawn from every surface to the view plane. Now whichever is the visible part, that part will be actually represented on the view plane. So in this case, if the surface is closer than the previously processed surfaces, if there are any, then its color is going to be calculated and saved along with its depth value. So now why do we need to have this point? Now if it is closer means obviously it is the visible surface with respect to the view plane, and that's why we are going to save that particular point value with the color and also store its memory. Then again the visible surface in the scene are represented by the set of surface colors and have been saved after all surface processing is completed. So now the next step is what, like first point represents for each surface, second point represents what do we do at the end. So for all the surfaces we are going to store all the visible surface color allocations and their depth values. So what does it require? There are two buffers that are required. One is the depth buffer and the second one is frame buffer. The depth buffer is used to store its depth value, and the frame buffer is used to store the surface colors for every pixel position that we want to display. So in this case, depth buffer maximum value is 1. So here by default we are going to set 1 as the value for the depth buffer. This is the algorithm you are supposed to write for Z buffer algorithm. So here in the first step, the Z buffer algorithm actually initializes the value with the default values. So depth buffer is set to 1 and frame buffer is set with the basic color. If you are setting the background color for white, all will be white. Background color as black, all will be black. And the default one is black, as you all know. And as we process each polygon in the scene, then it's going to get its own value. That is, maximum value is what? 1. If any value, that is Z is representing the depth here, if any value is less than the given existing value of depth, then we are going to initialize it with that value, and you frame the that is in the frame buffer set the value for that particular pixel, just indicating that we are going to consider this for the display. So this is represented by the equation, the Z, that is Z means depth value, it is equal to minus ax minus by minus d by c. So now ABC are some constants used with respect to x and y. AB and DC are another set of constants. So this equation is not in detail dealt with for you, only the representation has been given. So in this case we can make use of the existing Z value to calculate any Z dash value. So how do we do that? If we want to use scanline procedure, here they are considering the scanline procedure. For every scanline, point by point we are going to allocate the values. So we are going to increment x by 1, and then again if we want to change the scanline, we are going to increment the value for y. In case we are going in opposite direction, we are going to decrement the value of x or decrement the value of y. The same thing has been given. We are going to increment or decrement by 1 every x value and decrement or increment by 1 every y value. So if I want to consider the value for the next pixel position on the same scan line, we will be having, instead of x comma y, as x plus 1 comma y. In turn, we will be changing the same expression with x equal to x plus 1. And here this equation is nothing but for the existing value of z, if I subtract a by c, you are going to get the value required for the new buffer value. This is a simple representation of scanline procedure used, and here in this case we can make use of the slope method. So x dash can be written as, that is the new x dash can be written as, in going in opposite direction, x minus 1 by m. So you can see here x value of the previous scanline, it can be represented by decrementing the value by the slope value, 1 divided by slope value. And here in this case we can rewrite the expression using that as z plus a by m plus b by c. Overall we can write the equation as z dash equal to z plus b by c, and this is the same representation if you are going along the y direction. And here in the vertical form we will be rewriting the expression as z dash equal to z plus b plus c in case we are going in the y direction. So here are some of the functions, visibility detection function. One is if we want to remove the back face from the display, we are going to make use of the constant, symbolic constant GL curve face in the enable function. It is going to enable this functionality, and we are going to pass the mode for GL curve face. If we want to remove only back face, we are going to make use of GL back. If we want to remove all the surfaces, we are going to make use of GL front and back, and we can turn it off by using the disable function, and the default one is GL back. And the next part is depth buffer function, which we have already come across. So glut init display mode will define the buffer we are going to make use of. So glut depth will be given in display mode, and GL clear is going to represent the depth buffer bit, which is going to take the value default value for the depth buffer, and then again we are going to enable the test for depth test. So in this case it's going to check for the depth of each defined values of the object, and disabling is done by GL disable function. So in this case, if we want to clear the depth with the maximum value, we are going to give max depth as the input parameter. It is going to initialize the value with the maximum depth, and here in this case adjusting to the normalized values, that is -1 to +1 if we want to do, or any other normalized values, we are going to make use of GL depth range function, in which we are going to give two values, near value and the far value. If we want to execute depending upon that some test condition that we have set up in the program, then we can use GL depth func method, in which we are going to pass the required test condition. And there is one more thing, whether we want to use the depth in the form of write or only read form. So this is the function used, GL depth mask. It is going to take the parameter write status or read status. Write status means anybody will be able to write and also read it. Read status means only read can happen, no changes can happen by the other users. Next you have wireframe surface visibility method to represent objects in a wireframe format. So we are going to make use of the function GL polygon mode, and we are going to selectively represent what part of the object should be defined as a line format or wireframe format. So it is GL front and back, and we are going to provide GL line as a parameter to represent in the wireframe format. So front and back means overall we are going to represent the entire object in the form of wireframe. This is one sample they have given, you can see in the notes. Next you have OpenGL depth queuing function. So in this case we can set up the brightness of the object, varying the brightness of the object using a particular symbolic constant which is named as GL fog. So here GL fog represents the variation of the brightness depending upon the distance of the point. In this case GL fog I method is used to represent how I want to project the object and in which orientation. So orientation means in this case I am telling GL linear. So linear is about the Z axis, X and Y plane is used to project the object in the monitors. Z axis is used to filter between the depth values of an object. So I am going to activate this variation of the brightness using the GL fog mode parameter. I'm telling that I want to use the fog mode, and then again GL linear will help me to differentiate the values. So by default D minimum is equal to 0 and D max equal to 1. 0 is minimum value, maximum value is 1. If I want to manually give some different value, we can make use of the same GL fog F or fog I also I can make use of, and fog start symbolic constant represents the value at the near face, that is minimum depth value, and fog end means far face, maximum value. Here you can give any value that you want. Minimum depth should be the smaller value, maximum depth should be the bigger value. So this completes our fourth module.